What's up, viewers and listeners? My name is Jay. I'm a registered nutritionist based here in Bristol, working with BJJ enthusiasts across the globe. On today's episode, we had Shane Curtis on the show, aka Goth Lord, a 28-year-old black belt under Paul and Neil Owen at Nottingham MMA. He is sponsored by Subguards, Scramble, Role Models, and Brotherhood Performance, recently winning on Polaris 23 and a dominant performance on Grapplefest 14. Shane has gone on to developing his own jiu-jitsu technique called the Goth Lock, with a very promising grappling career ahead of him. If you don't know the Goth Lord yet, you are missing out on the UK's hottest prospect in grappling. We are sad to say we had some technical issues with the podcast, unfortunately, hence why this is part one. Part two will be coming in the near future. In this episode, we talked about competition mindset, gi versus no-gi, incorrect USADA test, and much, much more. Thank you for tuning in, and of course, if you're not subscribed, please click that button and turn on notifications. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Let's get into this episode. Oos. Black belt, and obviously you wanted to compete a bit more. Was there anything coinciding with the black belt type of thing, or was it just timing was good for you?
So towards the end of being a brown belt, I started working with a mental performance coach.
Yep.
Because I lost a match to a Canadian lad called Jeremy Pear, or Paris, I think. And mentally I just wasn't there. Like, could have won that match. But funnily enough, he was working with a mental performance coach. So I actually chatted to him about it and started working with the same mental performance coach.
Nice.
Sam Antonin.
Cool.
And ever since, I had a few matches at Brown, won those, and then getting my black belt, I just felt far more comfortable competing. I just felt like I enjoyed it, and it wasn't a case of just not wanting to kind of be there. Because I used to go into matches thinking, oh, I can't lose this, which is just a completely wrong attitude to have. Like, actually, I want to win them now. Like, no, I'm not just trying to not lose. And that was where I struggled. Even all the way from like blue belt, like I'd be smashing people in the gym, and I'd go in and I'd be winning by advantages. I'd be winning by just points when realistically I should be subbing these people. And I think the fact that I was just trying not to lose because I was so nervous, that really played a part.
That's interesting. So, do you think, again, obviously this is a big statement here, you wouldn't have progressed as much as you have done recently or since that sort of addition to your game with a mental performance coach? Do you think you wouldn't be as far as you are now? Or?
I think competitively, no.
Okay.
Like in the gym, yeah, I'm sure I would probably be where I am. But the fact that I can actually perform now rather than just edge out a win, that has really helped me.
Have the nerves always been there?
Yeah, I always got really nervous until I stepped on the mat.
Yeah.
And then they'd disappear completely, but it still wasn't quite the same because I'd still be having that kind of like emergency brake on almost.
Yeah.
Like I was like, shall I shot now? Shall I shot now?
Yeah.
Well, now I can just do something.
Interesting.
I used to think to myself, maybe I can forget my contact lenses. Or, sorry lads, I can't compete today. I've never actually pulled out any comps, especially because of nerves.
Yeah.
But like, I always got quite nervous. But now I don't even get nervous leading up to it anymore. Just like your standard sort of nerves, but nothing too crazy.
That's interesting you say that about like reasons to like pull out and stuff like that and finding things out of there. Like myself, I'm type 1 diabetic, so I'm reliant on insulin all the time. And one of the things that go through my mind quite regularly is obviously adrenaline affects my levels massively. And so obviously you come into a comp environment, I could eat nothing all day, right? Which is not what I do, by the way. Don't do that either if you're thinking of doing it. And my levels would shoot through the roof just because of adrenaline. And so then afterwards, they drop off like a cliff. And so at that point, I've been in positions where I'm like, I don't want to be here right now. I feel absolutely shit. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, I've either may have lost a match previously. I'm like, oh, I've got this person in the absolute now. And stuff like that. I'm just not going to do it type of thing. I've done it once. And it came to the absolute. And I looked at all the people who were supposed to be there. Obviously, 20-man bracket turned out to be like 5-man bracket because like people pulled out and stuff.
They always do, yeah.
And all the other people there, I looked at them, I was like, I could have beaten these people.
Yeah.
And I was kicking myself for it, do you know what I mean? And again, there's that whole mental attitude behind it. Oh, I'm not feeling great. You're just finding any sort of reasoning.
Talking yourself out of it.
Yeah, and it hasn't even happened. And majority of the time, like you go and have these matches and you go and win against these people, you think, I didn't even have anything to worry about in the first place. But that's so interesting. So would you, again, for people who are more probably, again, nothing against hobbyists in the slightest bit, but more serious about being competitors and obviously really pushing their game, would you say get on board with a mental performance. I don't say mental health coach. That's not what I mean. But mental performance coach. Would you say get that in earlier doors?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it will really play a big impact on just competing like healthily. Without like worrying and just being able to be you. That's all I want to do. I want to be what I can be in the gym, essentially. And I feel like I've almost got to that stage where I can compete better than I can be in the gym sometimes.
Nice.
Because it's not necessarily, this is going to sound quite cheesy and cliche,
Sorry.
necessarily who is better.
Yeah.
It's who is better on the day. Simple as that. And if you can mentally perform better than the other person, then 9 times out of 10 you'll win.
Yeah.
Like, how can you go into a match not thinking that you're going to win and win?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of people that I know that will just be like, I'm going to give it a go.
See how it happens.
Like, no. Even before I used my mental performance coach, every match I went into, in my head, I was convinced I was going to smash them. And I don't see why you wouldn't think any other way.
No.
Like, I'm not deluding myself,
but
I'm just being confident,
Nothing
knowing what I'm capable of.
Yeah. Bit of visualization.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
What sort of,
Visualization plays a factor in it as well.
Massively. That's interesting. So if you don't mind me asking this, again, just from my own personal experience, visualization obviously of what you're going to do within the match, and then you come to the point where you're going to do what you've been visualizing and it doesn't work out. For me, I start, I don't say panicking massively. I'm like, oh shit, the game plan hasn't gone to game plan. What do I do next type of thing? So did you ever have any of those type of moments? Or I guess you may just smash them all, I don't know.
Funnily, no, not really, if I'm honest, just because since I've been working with Sam, as a black belt, I've gone 16-2.
Wow.
I lost one arguably controversial decision in the gi on Polaris in Sardinia.
Yeah.
To like probably one of their best, Italy's best black belts, apart from, I always forget his name, not the guy I fought, but there's actually a vegan Italian black belt who is the best Italian black belt. I always forget his name, Luca Anacaretti.
Okay.
There we go. He's vegan, but apart from him, the other best black belt in Italy, in the gi as well.
Yeah.
I kind of accepted that, being like, well, we're going to Sardinia anyway for the summer camp, so fuck it, I'll have a gi match.
Nice.
And I thought I won that, but hey ho. And then the other match was just on points.
Yeah.
At the London Open. But yeah, 16-2, and I've gone in there and I've pretty much submitted all of them.
Nice.
I think.
Ruthless.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much a couple of decisions.
Oh, nice. Collecting arms and heels, as they say, which sounds like it's all good. Or guillotines in your case, should I say. Heads, there we go. That's interesting. So obviously in terms of competing, you've obviously done gi and no-gi. I'll probably say more recently we're in probably the no-gi camp.
I ain't doing gi again.
You retired? Is this your official retirement statement from gi?
I'll train gi maybe twice a week because it's training.
Yeah.
But like, you've got to focus on one thing. If you want to be the best at that, why try and do something else as well?
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy gi as much. I enjoy it enough to train it and teach it, but I much prefer no-gi.
Sure. Any particular reason why? Just the pace of it, as everyone sort of says, or different styles, or?
I think it's the style of it. I hate being tied up in a fucking lapel.
Don't we all?
I don't like that. It's just more exciting, isn't it? No-gi, and it's the way forward. There's not going to be an ADCC gi, is there? No,
it's one of these things we've talked a few times, but I'll come on to that in a second. One statement we did have, because we will ask you the same question, which is an unpopular jiu-jitsu opinion that you may have. and one of them that came out was that you can't get better at NoGi without training in the gi.
Yeah.
And obviously some people were like, absolute rubbish, absolutely fine. I know some just no-gi only clubs type of thing. And likewise on the other side, some of the gi people were like, well, yeah, that's very true, you need to do this. What's your thoughts on that statement?
Definitely. I agree that if you do what you need to do to get better, like, why do gi if you want to be good at no-gi and vice versa? If you do both, you'll get good at both.
Sure.
But you're going to get much better at no-gi if you only do no-gi. And if you're going to, and vice versa, same for gi. Like, why am I going to put a gi on and be tied up in a lapel to then go out there and get heel hooked? Like, because all I've been focusing on is stripping grips.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I think a lot of people are saying within the gi world at the moment is that it seems to be very much a new tactic of, okay, we'll grab a lapel, grab whatever, pant leg, and we'll get the advantage point, and then we'll go and win by the advantage point, and it's game over.
Some people are exciting.
Yep.
There are some exciting gi matches, like Espin Madison, he's fucking phenomenal to watch. I was in the same changing room as him for Polaris, and just watching him warm up, I was like, fucking hell, he's sick. I would not want to compete against him.
That'd be an awkward moment. Oh, we've got to change of plan, guys. Sorry, we've got to... Shane, come in. No, I'm good.
I just much more prefer watching no-gi.
No, so it's interesting you mentioned that you think no-gi seems to be more the way, which is nothing wrong with that. And I think my argument is in terms of marketing, and I've said this on all pretty much the podcast at the moment, IBJJF don't seem to do enough to elevate the individuals that are participating in it in the slightest bit. And in terms of, let's say, your status now and what you're doing, the shows you're getting on, if you went purely gi only, again, no discrediting to you, I don't think you'd be this far in terms of like popularity.
Nor do I.
And that's the problem, is then all of a sudden ADCC are making things better. Not even ADCC, but no-gi seems to be more exciting, a bit more obviously upbeat, and they're looking to elevate the individuals in it. But when was the last time you saw like a super fight card in gi? Like, even at IBJJF level,
you get the token gi match. Like on a good card.
Yeah.
And even that, like, even on my own show, I don't want gi matches. Because if you have a gi match and a no gi match, is a higher likelihood that gi match is going to be boring as fuck. Especially if they're evenly matched.
Yeah.
Like if you've got an evenly matched gi match, then it's going to be very technical.
Yep.
And like it's just going to be focused on such minute details that the average kind of watcher, viewer isn't going to look at that and go, oh, look at that, he just tied that lapel around his ankle and then stripped that grip. Like, it's like, oh, look at that, he did a cartwheel over it.
I love that. Cartwheels versus lapel changes all of a sudden. It's the same thing. Obviously, the times I've been to Polaris and stuff like this, there are moments where obviously you watch some of the matches and you're thinking, this is absolutely amazing, this is all going well with the no-gi. The gi stuff, unfortunately, was a little bit snooker hall. Like someone's just like done a small little movement type of thing, and it just unfortunately just doesn't get the same eyes on it type of stuff. But I think probably one of the struggles that may alienate obviously a lot of new practitioners coming into the sport is obviously the regulations coming with IBJJF with testing and stuff like this and everything. ADCC are kind of just turning a whole blind eye and going like, right, hey, cowboy, let's get everyone in and just see what we can do type stuff. Do you think ADCC should regulate a little bit more in what they're doing, or are you kind of just like, look, they're not interested, we'll just go and play ball and see what happens?
I don't give a fuck. Like, they're going to find ways around doing it anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like Paolo Meow, he got popped, didn't he? Like he could have not got popped by just knowing that when he was going to get tested. Yeah. Like if you're going to do it, you got to do it properly. Like IBJJF, and I don't mean steroids. I mean, if you're gonna test, you've got to test properly.
Yeah, test properly, yeah.
Like the UFC, for instance.
Yep.
Like they'll be finding these minute different things in like everyone's...
Picograms,
yeah, exactly. And that's proper, but that's expensive.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, IBJJF are doing something. So, like, hands up to them for doing that.
Definitely.
But the fact that, like, you can get around it, it's more of just... I heard someone say it's just like... It's more of a... what's the word I'm looking for? It's just being smart, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's an IQ test.
100%. Like, the way that I think I got described, I think previously, is obviously Chael Sutherland obviously talks about this and saying that everyone has a guy who knows how to get around the testing. And the problem is when you've then got government-funded protocols to get around testing with an unlimited budget, the testing team are always chasing them because they're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next detail? And obviously we joke about picograms and that type of stuff in terms of like UFC levels and things like that. I don't think any federation's ever going to go that detail unless they obviously get the funding behind it. But it's not as if IBJJF are short of a few pennies. That's the other thing.
That is also true, but I think it's quite costly.
Yeah.
To be fair, like I remember a good friend of mine, Jimmy Wallhead. He got popped for Osterine, which is a SARM.
Yep.
But he didn't actually take it. It was a tainted supplement, and he got proved to be a tainted supplement.
But then his reputation still.
Yeah. Like, and he actually said, you know, I'm going to step away from the UFC now because of that, because it actually put him into depression.
Well,
because of this, and he managed to prove it.
Yeah.
And they said to him, okay, we're sorry. They like apologise, sort of thing.
Is that it? Like, just sorry, that's it. No.
Lost all that. Lost a lot from that.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's fighting to unify the Cage Warriors title next weekend. So
nice.
That's fine. But yeah, things like that can ruin people as well.
100%.
Especially when it's not true.
This is the thing with the false accusation. Just instantly for any spectator or reader out there, the first thing they're going to be like steroid accusation. Yeah. They're going, oh, they must be on it. They wouldn't be doing it, that type of thing. But you're very much right in terms of tainted supplements, and this is a really good point, obviously, to anyone listening and viewing. There are brands out there which are tested to a high standard, to I think obviously UK standard, obviously, where they will look at the products and be that these are tested for athletes, safe for athletes. So you'll find a little logo. So I think Applied Nutrition are underneath that banner, and a few other people as well.
Quite a few, to be fair. You've just got to look.
You got to look, and unfortunately,
Jimmy kind of made that mistake of just going to this supplement company in Loughborough. I think it was Loughborough, and they just got them from there. And they managed, but then they picked them up from the site, off from in store, and they tested it, and it was the supplement company's fault. I think the supplement company also made steroids. But, yeah.
I love it.
But he actually speaks about that anyway on his podcast with Dan Strauss.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying anything no one doesn't know.
No, it makes sense. And it's the same thing, unfortunately, from a manufacturing standpoint. Obviously, a lot of these products get made outside of the country. They get made, obviously, in China. And obviously, again, in terms of a manufacturing company, you got a bit of steroids coming through at one point, and then all of a sudden on the same belt you're going to put a load of creatine in there, or you're going to put a load of something else in there.
Yeah, it's weird that, like, with creatine, creatine really doesn't react. Like, cheap creatine doesn't react very well with me. Like, I've had to get an optimal nutrition creatine to avoid getting spots on my back.
Really?
Which is really weird. Like, my protein, anything cheap like that, I just come out of back knee, and it's horrific. And then the only one is that this micronized Owen creatine that I managed to get. Yeah. And it's fine.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, and people, and like, if you look it up on the internet, like, oh yeah, there's no side effects. Back knee is not a side effect according to it. None of this is. And like, it's like, well, why am I getting it?
Yeah.
So there's got to be something dodgy hanging around in there.
100%. It's the same thing, obviously, when that awareness of what you're taking on board, food-wise, supplement-wise, that when all of a sudden you introduce something completely brand new and you then get a side effect of it, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And this is my kind of advice to anyone, obviously, looking to improve their performance, their well-being, whatever it may be, that having an understanding of what's happening day to day, when you get an upset stomach, when you get ill, you know why, rather than it being the case of, I always joke with this, like, I get bloated when I eat bread. I'm like, okay, right, well, how do you know this? Well, on a Monday morning, I have a bit of bread in my breakfast and some toast, and I get really bloated. I'm like, well, what was the weekend like? Oh, well, I went out on a party, went out a few beers, and I did this and that. And I'm like, so all the stuff before leading up to it is just on the bread and nothing else. Yeah. And they're like, and it proves a point, do you know what I mean? But that's interesting. Yeah, with creatine, you do find with some people they get bad side effects from it. Normally digestive issues is quite transparent for that. But the fact that you've obviously had to go to the detail of getting this one specific brand obviously just says, obviously, again, you've got to look at these things in greater detail. Any other supplements that you take on top of that?
Just basic vitamins, minerals and stuff, probiotics.
Cool.
Obviously essential amino acids, like I mentioned before. Protein. Yeah, protein. Just
ever touch beta alanine at all?
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
Because it makes me feel disgusting. And
makes you feel disgusted? Yeah. What?
So I had a pre-workout before.
Yeah.
And whenever you have a pre-workout with the beta alanine in it, you get this like tingly sensation.
Yes, you do.
I despise it.
Okay.
I have ADHD as well, so it makes that worse.
Oh God.
And it's horrific. I hate it. I felt shit. When I took it. I overdid the pre-workout that particular time, but any other time I've baited Alanine as well, it's just reacted like that to me. It's
Triple dry scoop the pre-workout, you'll be fine. Well, again, if you were to revisit, I appreciate you've done it probably the one big tip is have it after a meal.
Yeah.
It reduces the not osteoporosis, the tingly sensation. I was trying to use a fancy name and that completely backfired.
Doesn't make you fizzy.
Yeah, so that will help a little bit more with it. And again, in terms of timings and stuff, you can reduce the dosage, having in multiple doses throughout the day type thing. But really good one in terms of a little bit of cardiovascular performance, and obviously that reduction of lactic acid, which I appreciate with grip breaking stuff you don't have to worry about anymore. But last thing you want to do is having pumping forearms all of a sudden, whereas that helps a little bit better, which is cool. Cool, right, let's move on to a few other things then in terms of this. Okay, NoGi stuff, obviously you've competed obviously very regularly and stuff like that. Obviously there's no distinguishable matches out there. Anything that you've regretted obviously from the matches that didn't happen? Obviously you've won lots, which is good.
Matches that didn't happen.
Is there any sort of things that you've regretted obviously in terms of like things you could have done better type of thing? Sorry, I probably would word that horrendously. But.
I probably could have, in my last match on Polaris, I probably could have pushed the pace a little bit more.
Yeah.
But problem was, it was a last minute replacement after 2 pull-out opponents. Chris Leeson got injured.
Yep.
Santeri Lilius got injured. Oh, Santeri Lilius got sick. He said he got a stomach bug. And then I got a replacement, Craig McIntosh, who's a little bit smaller than me.
Yep.
Similar game to me, to be fair, actually. He likes neck attacks. He's even got a DVD out on his Scottish necktie. So like, I was very wary of that as well.
Yeah.
And I'd lost my last match on Polaris, which was NoGi, but I didn't want to drop another one. So I was a little bit more tentative.
Yeah.
But I know this Polaris scoring system. I know how it works. I know how to win. So I did what I needed to do to win.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as exciting as it could be. So yeah, I probably should have pushed the pace a little bit more, made it a little bit more exciting, and got the finish. Craig's tough to finish though. Yeah. I had a good couple of sub attempts on him and he toughed him out and escaped. So yeah, that's probably the only thing as of recent that I can really think of that I should have done different.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Obviously, I know you've got some behind the scenes news which you can't disclose which is fine. We'll keep that obviously off camera for the time being. Have you got any aspirations to get on the ADCC trials again this year type of thing?
100%. I'll be doing the trials in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Under 88.
Yeah. Feeling optimistic about it all? Obviously, I know you've got the mindset. Yeah.
No doubt.
That'll be awesome to see. Very tattooed. Have you got any more tattoos that you're going to come next?
I would love to. It's just so difficult with training.
Yeah.
Like, just letting them heal. It's just, I will. I'll be finishing blacking my arm out, finishing my back off, and then I will keep going.
Yeah.
It's just when
you
I've got
get the
time.
chance for it.
I'd love to keep going right now, but it's just so difficult with recovery. I say recovery, with letting them heal and not training too early or whatever.
Yeah.
So
having time off the mat is not what anyone
no,
wants to be doing at the
especially
same time.
when I've got so many comps, seminars. On my job is teaching jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to find time. Like, we've had times where I've like, oh yeah, right, my girlfriend, she does some of mine.
Yep.
She's done my face, she started blacking my arm out and she's done all my back. And we'll book something and it'll be like, oh wait, actually I've got a comp coming up. So we're gonna have to change that.
I think the normal Reddit thing is try and book a tattoo when you're injured.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about
fucking injured.
No, I don't think anyone wants either, to be fair. So yeah, that's interesting. Cool. So one of the questions obviously we had come through on Instagram was about the time frame in which you acquired your black belt in, obviously being again, for anyone obviously new to the sport and stuff, obviously you'll probably say the general consensus is like 10 years plus generally to get the black belt. Obviously you got yours in
6.5.
6.5 years. What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, have you got any reply to it type of thing? Obviously, it's a small time frame, I think, for anyone kind of listening, but...
I personally don't think it's that small a time frame. Okay. I've heard of quicker.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would have got it quicker if it wasn't for the unfortunate incident a couple of years ago, where we all didn't train. Wink, wink. If it wasn't for that, then it probably would have been 5 years, maybe 5.5. But I don't know. I don't think it's that fast. Like, you've seen BJ Penn 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Like Gio Martinez, 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And these are all people, I guess, have come from different backgrounds. Like, I was always super athletic. I was always doing athletics at school. I played rugby at quite a high standard. I think rugby in the UK is probably one of the better routes to kind of go down if you want to do jiu-jitsu eventually.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially a combat sport for teams. Like, I always pick things up fast.
Yeah.
I think one thing actually, which I only actually found out last year, is that I have ADHD. And I think that actually helped me. Because
Really?
when you have ADHD, you become hyper-focused on things you enjoy.
Yeah.
And what ADHD is, it's a lack of dopamine receptors in your brain. And that just means that when you're doing something you don't enjoy, you really struggle to focus on it. Like, I will zone out so much if I don't enjoy something.
Yeah.
But when you do enjoy something, you
You're
become so
hyper-focused.
obsessed with it. And exactly, you become hyper-focused because of how much you enjoy it. And I think because of jiu-jitsu is so, it's always constantly growing, changing, you're learning so much that I just become obsessed with it. And I still am. I think that makes a big difference. And also I trained in pretty much 5 days a week from the get-go. Like, I trained 5 days a week from the get-go. Always thought about jiu-jitsu, always watched jiu-jitsu.
I can imagine, like I said, my wife obviously said I'm absolutely obsessed with it in the slightest bit, and like I'm there, like, okay, well look, I just really enjoy it, as you mentioned. There's always something to learn. It's a massive chess match. It's not as if like you got one thing nailed and that's it, job done. It's like, well, there's another 358 other moves and probably some bullshit on Instagram to filter through to begin with.
I think as well, because I learned fast, I got good quick.
Yeah.
I was already strong and already athletic, so I guess I enjoyed it even more because I was already good at it fast.
Yeah.
So then it just made it even easier for me to come training all the time. Because I said this quite a lot recently to some people, that I respect, and I have so much respect for the people that come in and get their shit kicked out of them day in, day out, and they barely even get a sweep, let alone a submission. I don't even know if I'd be able to do that. Like, imagine coming in every day and just getting beaten up.
Yeah.
Like, badly, not tapping anyone, and then going home thinking, fucking hell, am I learning anything? But then they come back. They keep coming back and they keep coming back, I respect that so much.
I think again, I'm trying not to sound too Joe Rogan here in terms of it, but in terms of life, in terms of getting like those moments to get better and just keep on turning up and being consistent with something, it just pays due dividends in the long run with anything.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like, you can't just expect to learn something in a week, and the idea you're going to have some really shit times to get better at stuff. And it's the same thing with the nutrition aspect of it, in the sense that you may not get it perfect first time round. Yeah, I imagine, like I said, when you went vegetarian before to vegan, not pescatarian, that there made some mistakes along the way, and then from there you didn't like, I'm just giving up on this altogether type thing. You still repeated it, keep persisting with it, and keep on improving with it. And that's, I like to say, it's just life in general. Yeah. Do something repetitively over time, you will become masterful at it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Probably I want to touch on, if you don't mind, why did you get your ADHD sort of clinically like looked at, if you don't mind me asking?
Someone asked me if I'd had it.
Okay.
Simple as that. One of my clients also has it, and he found out as an adult as well.
Okay.
And he said to me, he overheard me saying to someone that I needed to be reminded to do something. And I was quite insistent on telling this person to remind me to do something. And the guy was like, oh, no, don't worry. If you forget, it's fine. I was like, no, I want to do it. You just need to remind me.
Yeah.
And in the end, Jake, his name was, said to me, do you have ADHD? I was like, I don't think so. Why? And then we just got into conversation about it, and he kept asking me loads and loads of questions. I was like, yep. And then I went and looked into it, and
That's fair. Do you feel like you had a sense of relief taken off your shoulders now, knowing about it a bit more?
It's nice. It's nice, kind of knowing why things are happening.
Yeah.
Like, I think because I was always relatively smart at school, it never really got. It kind of overlooked.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really get any qualifications in school though. Because I was smart and I did enough to get by, but then when it came to exams, I didn't really come away with any qualifications. And that's because of that. But it's interesting that no one really picked up on it.
That is really.
And now when I look back though,
Yeah.
on it, it's like, it's just so obvious.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. I'd fall asleep in school. I used to fall asleep at work.
Yeah.
As an adult. Like, And I can't, I can never, I was saying this to actually for Becca this morning. I don't know how I got in the conversation. I've never did any homework, ever. I always last minute. Always, like, I'd be asking my friend, can I just copy your homework? Just as we were about to go into class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably say if anyone listening or viewing this, obviously, something I got taught in university, you'll hear about certain conditions and stuff like that, and obviously you'll start to relate certain parts of your life to it. So do get it checked out by a professional, obviously, if you're concerned about it. I think I had a very similar moment when I got my type 1 diagnosis, which was only about 3-4 years ago, and I was at university, obviously, doing my nutrition degree, and they were reading off all the symptoms of it, and I'm there glugging water, going, why is my mouth still dry with all this? And they're like, people will have these type of situations, and obviously I was having testing done at the time, and they're like, yeah, you've got type 1, do you know much about it? I was like, I was just in a lecture yesterday about this type of thing. But there's a sense of relief knowing, obviously, okay, fine, there's solutions around these type of details, and you can then obviously start to even use it to your own advantage.
Yeah, I think that's what I've kind of done. And yeah, simple as that. I hate drilling. And I think it's because that's with jiu-jitsu.
Was that just the same thing with like purple belts not turning up to training all of a sudden, just like once you reach black belt level?
No, I didn't. I hate drilling all the way through. I like zone out when Paul is teaching. I'm like, but that's because that didn't really give me that dopamine boost.
Yeah.
The sparring does.
Yeah.
So
That's
good.
That's
and that's how I kind of play it to my advantage.
Yeah.
I'll just spar more, do things in sparring, learn in sparring. The specifics are still sparring.
Yeah.
It's still kind of like drilling with resistance anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously from the club that I'm at, we do a lot of positional stuff all the time, which I, again, regardless, obviously, don't get me wrong, probably my least favourite is fully in armbar drilling, especially if you've got to be very reliant on your training partner, not just like whack it on straight away. And I'm like, okay, great, here we go. Everything else is pretty cool. The whole EBI sort of training was really, really good, which is interesting. Have you been on to EBI? Is that something you got on your hit list maybe to go and do? Or
yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I would. I don't really like the EBI rule set.
No?
But I'd do it.
Yeah.
I think stalling 10 minutes to then win because you escape the back faster is pretty bullshit. But yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice, that's cool. So one of the questions we always ask, obviously, for all our guests so far is post-fight meal. What is it?
We normally go to McDonald's on the way home.
Yeah.
That's normally it.
Seems to be a recurring theme.
It tends to be, especially now they've do the McPlant.
Yeah.
So yeah, we normally go to or pizza. I love pizza.
What's the order at McDonald's? And
So it's got to be the McPlant.
Oh yeah, McPlant. Yeah, sorry. There we go. Let's go on the pizza option then. What's the pizza option for yourself?
If we go Papa John's, I normally just have a margherita pizza, but it'll be with the barbecue base.
Yeah.
Rather than the tomato.
So is Papa John's better than Domino's? Because I've never tried Papa John's.
Vegan anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot. Yeah. Or Pizza Express do a really good vegan pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice.
Any vegans listening out there, Papa John's seems to be the one to go to then by the sound of things. Nice, cool. So we always ask the other previous guest that we've had on to supply a question, and then we'll ask you to do exactly the same. I think this is quite fitting based on the question as well.
Okay.
If you could be any Disney princess, which one would you be?
Well, my girlfriend loves Disney.
Yeah.
Like, she loves it, so I know
You better
quite
pick
a lot
right then,
of them.
otherwise she ain't going to be happy.
I think we're going to have to go with Mulan.
Yeah? Any reason why?
Well, my girlfriend loves Disney. So I know quite a lot of Disney princesses.
Just making sure she's happy.
But she fights.
Yeah.
So I think that's the closest we're going to get.
That's all good.
And she has a friend dragon.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
You can't go wrong with Dragon. He's a legend at the end of the day. There's always that song, what is it? Defeat the Huns. That's the one that keeps on running through my head, obviously, all the time. Is that what's going through your headphones before you get on the mat, maybe?
Must be.
It's the same thing with the reel you put the other day. What's going through my mind when I'm in this position? the Peter Griffin thing. So yeah, obviously, we'll ask the question for you to relay on. Obviously, it doesn't have to be anything jiu-jitsu related, but it's absolutely fine. Other question we always seem to ask, and everyone seems to hate this guy for whatever reason, but I'm going to keep him in there. Huh?
Dylan Dennis.
No. Well, we'll put it in there then. So you then get the opportunity to submit either Craig Jones or Dylan Dennis. Which one are you submitting with? Who are you submitting?
Realistically, or who are...
No, hypothetically. You're in the perfect
Hypothetically.
position. It's happened. Who are you going to submit?
Well, obviously, it's going to be Craig Jones, isn't it? Because...
What says this?
and not because I hate him.
Yeah.
I love Craig.
Yeah.
But what's beating Dylan Dennis going to do?
Probably just getting more hate all of a sudden for some odd reason.
He'll pretend that he was injured or something.
Yeah, and probably call you out for a boxing match afterwards. Probably. No.
And I'll still knock him out.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Craig Jones, then, what are you submitting him with?
Goth Lock.
Goth Lock. No, that's fine. Can't be done there. Infamous plug. Cool. Obviously, at that point, mate, that's pretty much everything we've got. We just want to say thanks very much for your time. Have you got any other questions for me at all that you want to know about? Or again, we can chat to you afterwards. There's no issue there.
I'm terrible on the spot, so no.
No, that's all fine. Do you want to give a shout out to any sponsors?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give obviously bang straight into the camera.
So just a shout out to all my sponsors: Subguards, Scramble, Role Models, Sam Antonin, Brotherhood Health and Performance, and yeah,
You got them all. Hey,
all good, all
perfect.
good.
We've got a full house.
And if you
there.
want to get one of my Goth Lord rash guards, check out the link in my bio.
We'll put that in the description in there for you guys. I was going to say something else. I've completely forgotten now. Have you guys got anything, obviously, promotion-wise for the gym and stuff like that? Anything like that at all? Or just
Yeah, check out Nottingham MMA. If anyone's ever about, you're always more than welcome to come and train. Love having visitors here. And keep an eye out for my show as well, Into Grapple. The next one is June 11th.
Nice. Is that going to be based here? Or
Yeah, we always do it here.
Nice.
It's easier.
Cool.
And everyone loves the environment here as well.
Wicked. That's fine. Well, look, obviously, we're about here. We'll try and see if we'll pop up for the show itself. Obviously, it'd be good to see everyone, obviously, on there. And then, again, thanks so much for your time, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was the awkward,
I was going to shake the fist.